sound, and I thought it was like me being muffled, and then I was thinking like my doppelganger was emerging through the floor or something. Okay, clearly it's my 420 day. No, I heard these sounds coming in, and it sounded like my own voice in an echo, and it was just freaking me out for a second. I'm all good. Okay. Just mad at us just being loud. We love that. We get loud back and forth. You're right. And I'm sure the person back there was wondering what the banging on the wall was. So, anyway. So okay, back it up. Where were we? Oh yeah, the Americans. So okay, now during the Civil War, we had one major foreign policy success that we really have to note. And you see, here's the thing: we tend not to, when we talk about the Civil War, we tend to talk about it all as a domestic dispute. Really, basically, it's all us. But it wasn't. There was a big thing that Lincoln and the Union was very good at doing. What was their big foreign policy success during the Civil War? This might be a little tricky. Well, okay, think back to like the American Revolution. How did we win the did America win that on our own? No, it was the help of the French and then the Spanish and other countries, right? If it hadn't been for other countries recognizing us as a separate country and fighting on our side, we would not have won, right? Okay? Now, thinking in that context, what was Lincoln's great success? Yeah, keeping particularly England out of aligning themselves with the the Confederacy. Okay, the Confederacy was looking for foreign aid, was looking for allies, and indeed there was always a danger that the English might involve themselves in the war. Can you imagine if England, the other nascent and industrializing superpower, had thrown in with the Confederacy and suddenly made? Can you imagine what would have happened, right? Yeah, it would have entirely changed the picture, right? Okay, so the fact that we were able to diplomatically keep other countries out of the Civil War was a huge diplomatic triumph. We don't mention this a lot during Civil War discussions, but it's really important, as you might imagine, okay? So that's big, okay, that's big. But after the Civil War, we kind of retreat into our shells for a while. We're busy licking our wounds. Okay, we'll buy Alaska. It was convenient, okay? But besides that, we're still not going to be heavily dipping our toes into it because, let's face it, we're busy with other stuff, right? Okay, that's good, but then things change again, okay? And while we're busy licking our own wounds, just as we said that Europe was busy industrializing, they're also busy imperializing. This is the age of imperialism, the age of Queen Victoria, right, and beyond. And England in particular is going to lead the way as the imperial powers. Now, it's not going to be the only one, but it's going to be the most successful one. And what is Europe doing? What is this age of imperialism?
Conquering India.
Okay, they're conquering other countries, and that was for England, where they're going to say that the sun never sets on the British Empire. I mean, if you think about it, Canada, Australia, India, just as three rather giant territories, you can see why they say the sun never sets. It doesn't matter where it goes. Lots of Europe is playing down inside of Africa, right, and controlling bits of Africa. Everybody's trying to get little pieces of Asia. Everything's going on. We're busy licking our wounds. And it's not until the 1880s and 1890s we look around and it's suddenly recognizing there's a game being played we haven't been in on. And here it is, Europe, in particular England, has been playing Pokemon. Because they got to catch them all, okay, And here it is, we haven't even started collecting the cards, and they got all the foil cards, okay? We're very upset about this. And so we finally decided it's our turn to start getting involved in this. But as America, we try and see it in our own unique light. Because we're going to claim that our involvement in this is in some ways an extension of things we've done before, particularly manifest destiny. In the 1840s, we had really, embarked on this idea of manifest destiny. What was that in the 1840s, this idea of manifest destiny? Expansion, right? From sea to shining sea. That it was our destiny, our God-given goal to get all the way to the other shore, which triggered things like the Mexican War, where we beat the shit out of Mexico so we could get this Utah, California, New Mexico, Arizona quadrant, right? You know, there. Oregon or bust, right? So we had to, you know, make sure we get the Oregon Territory, which of course you all did your Oregon Trail, so you could have your people die of malaria and dysentery on the way, right? You know, because it was fun when you're not shooting bears. All these important things that you had as your childhood experience. You know, 5440 or fight, you know, we're going to take the Oregon Territory from England. We don't, but it was fun as anyway. And so, but of course the Civil War interrupted that. We kind of had that, we got the continental United States, we got busy killing each other, it kind of faded from our minds. Now we kind of say that as we've emerged as a strong industrial power, we are proud to be American. And we want to share that Americanness with you, whether you want it or not, you know, and that will be our kind of new imperial thing. And imperialism relied upon a form of racial social Darwinism. And we kind of talked about this a little bit before, but let's reiterate. Social Darwinism, as we said, was when Spencer suggested that some people were, what?
The rich, only the rich survive.
Okay, so more fit than others, right? Which is kind of by wealth. Okay, so there's survival of the fittest, right? Okay, and then if you put in a racial component, you begin to say some races are more fit than others, more, you know. And of course, we tend to associate race with nationality. That strange idea. And so what happens is we begin to say there's basically two groups of people. There are those who are civilized, okay, and those are the ones that have industrialized, and then those who are uncivilized, right? Those who have not industrialized and all that. And this leads to a model of imperialism, which again, we didn't invent this, but we take it to heart. An image that comes out of England, actually the name is somewhat sarcastically given by Rudyard Kipling, but people take it more as a straight up comment. What becomes known as the white man's burden. Have you all heard that phrase, the white man's burden? What does that mean, this white man's burden? What is this excuse for imperialism?
What to take care of the not so wealthy.
Right, you know, we poor white people, you know, white people are civilized, and all those other peoples who are brown, okay, ish, you know, various different views. Although some are supposedly yellow, we will also say at the time, which is curious to me because I have never met a yellow human. You know, I have never met a human who's actually yellow. I mean, I love the fact they use the phrase yellow, but I've never met a yellow. Now, I have met an orange human, but really that's only on TV, and I think it's called Jersey Shore. And I don't even think that's natural. Okay, but the thing is that you know, so we're using these very racist phrases and ideas, but the idea was that somehow these poor, uncivilized people needed to be civilized. So it was our burden, our responsibility. It's so sad, but it's
like the Indians.
we need to take you over in order to fix you. Okay. Now, conveniently, the places we took over also happened to have some natural resources we happened to want. It was a happy coincidence, you know. But nonetheless, there it is. And so, as a result, that's going to be there. So there is this tinging of this racist idea. I mean, let's face it, as I'm going to mention later, we actually call one of our fleets the Great White Fleet in America.
White.
Okay, and painted it white. We are the Great White Fleet. Okay, I'm not making this shit up. You know, it sounds kind of embarrassing, but you notice it doesn't appear in a lot of the history books because it is kind of embarrassing. You know, but it's just the mindset of the time. It's not about blame. It's just we have to get inside their head, right? And their head is in a very different place than ours is. So, what is our emergence onto the stage? Well, a couple of things do occur that get us into the ball, and as we say, Latin America is where it's going to be at. And so what's going on in Latin America that makes this so interesting? Well, the 19th century was important for Latin America. Why? What's going on because Latin America during the colonial period had been owned primarily by whom? Spain, with the exception of Brazil, which had been owned by Portugal, okay, very good, okay. And so you had basically Spain and Portugal owning the whole lot, right? But what was going on in the history of Latin America in the 19th century? What was going on throughout the Americas, South America?
Many rebellions.
Okay, rebellions, right? This is the age of revolution in Latin America.
I wanted to follow suit in America.
Yeah, many of them are. In fact, somebody will call himself, I am the Colombian George Washington.